Okay, again, so for Calculus 2, and to just kind of finish up this discussion of basics of series, I mentioned that there's a table with tests on it, okay? And it's on page 636, right? So this is the table, okay? Now, a couple of pages later, you've got a bunch of problems. This is in 9.6. Now, we haven't gone over all of these, but in 9.6, okay, so from 53 to 70, okay? So, of course, you know, for the purposes of your grade, I'll ask you to pick 5 and then have them ready on the week of the 4th. I'll send you an email and I'll say, you know, send me pictures of these, and that'll be the basis of your grade, okay? And I'll tell you what those are going to be later. But anyway, here we have 9.6, and here we have these problems, all right? So how do I see this chapter for someone like my students, not math majors? You're all mostly in engineering. A few of you are in science. What's the advantage of this? If a solver can solve just about any integral that we run into nowadays, right? What's the point in doing this? Well, a couple of things. One, Google kettlebell secret service test. Google that. This is something that nobody in their right mind would do, okay? It's an absolutely grueling test of strength and stamina and mental fortitude, really, more than anything else, okay? And it accomplishes in and of itself absolutely nothing. I mean, all you're doing is you're taking a big iron ball with a handle on it, you're swinging it between your legs and you're putting it over your head, and you're doing this for 20 minutes, and I mean, when you're done, you put the ball back down on the ground, and essentially you've accomplished nothing, okay? Certainly, if I needed something to take a metal ball and move it up and down in the air, you know, 200 times, I could very easily design a little thing with a pneumatic cylinder or something that would do that, and do it all day, okay? So if that was something that we needed done, we definitely wouldn't need a person to do this, okay? So what does this have to do with this? Well, looking at this thing as a tool to become a better problem solver, okay? How would you approach it? What I would do is I would sit down and memorize this table, okay? I would see how long it takes me to be able to take a blank sheet of paper and reproduce this table on that blank sheet of paper, all right? And then I would take all of these problems, okay, and with just the table that I had memorized, all right, I would solve all of them from 53 to 70, okay? Now, that's going to be a grueling intellectual challenge that's going to focus on a lot of different areas, okay? Your ability to memorize, your ability to apply. Definitely you're going to have stamina, because this is going to take, you know, several hours, I would think, okay? I mean, it depends on your level of intellectual fitness, I guess. But if you can do it, okay, if you can do that, if you can cram that table into your head, and just sit there and just cram it into your head until you can write it on a blank sheet of paper, and then turn to those problems and do them, 53 through 70, get them all correct, do it all in one stretch. That's similar to this, okay? In the end, you know, you haven't accomplished anything. The answers are already in the back of the book. So it's not like you furthered our understanding of series. The one who's going to benefit out from this, obviously, is just like the person that does this, right? It's the person that does it and takes that experience away, okay? This is a physical challenge. This is an intellectual challenge. You know, this is something that you might associate with being done in a gymnasium. This is something that's associated with being done in a university. So we're going to go over 9.5 and 9.6. I'm planning on making videos on those two tests today. But that would be the challenge. Now, I've gotten 4 emails with the same basic question, and I have not answered them because they're not math questions. And those of you who had me in the face-to-face class remember what a stickler I am for sticking to the subject. So since they're not math questions, I avoided them. I had no intention of asking them, answering them. But I also got an email from the president of the university, sort of a directive saying, you know, that helping students with the transition to the online thing and then dealing with other concerns is something that we should consider to be within our area, something to be addressed. We shouldn't just say, oh, that's not math, I'm not going to talk about it. So, and the questions have been basically, you know, I'm dropping your class, I'm dropping all my classes because I don't see any reason to do this. I sit at home, you know, I don't get up in the morning, I'm not studying, I'm not motivated. I just don't want to do this, okay? You know, and it's because, you know, you were doing it before because of outer motivations, right? Outside motivations, you know, either your parents or somebody was expecting you to do it, okay? And that's what was driving you. You were doing okay based on that. And a lot of people are like that. That's fine. But now you're at home and there's nobody watching you. And now that drive is going to have to come from inside you. Yes? You're going to have to drive yourself. Right? And if that's not there, well, now you've got some pretty fundamental questions to ask, right? You know, one of the reasons for doing this is if you want to get into the Secret Service, this is one of their requirements. They're going to tell you, okay, grab that kettlebell and put it overhead and let's see how many times you can do that in 20 minutes. And if you don't meet their requirements, they're not going to consider you as a candidate. So if you want to get into the Secret Service, this is something that you need to do. Now, I would wager to say that most people that do this aren't actually doing it because they want to get into the Secret Service. They're just doing it because it's an interesting physical challenge. You know, it challenges you in so many different ways. Okay? It really puts your physical functioning to the test. All right. So, you know, people do this kind of stuff, and this is terrible. I mean, this makes you feel like you're going to die, okay? This might do the same thing, all right? But therein lies the experience, right? The benefit, yes? And especially now, because nobody's going to know if you do this. I mean, this is kind of like, you know, here in my barn, you know, you can see the flies. That's why we have flies. I'm in the barn. You know, I could go grab a kettlebell and I could do this, and nobody would know it but me. Right? Nobody will know. So this is also a test of your drivers. Yeah? So if you have any questions about this stuff, feel free to ask. Send me an email, and I'll try to address it in a short video.